Okay, what is up everyone? Hello and welcome. Darkside Phil here. Welcome to the beginning of my E3 2017 coverage. In this session, I'm going to be talking all about what happened at the EA press conference today. Today is actually June 10th, 2017, and E3 started early this year with the EA press conference on a Saturday, which has never happened before. You gotta wonder, are they going to keep with this pattern, and next year is it going to start on Friday? I mean, it's pretty ridiculous at this point, all right? So I'm going to go through everything that was talked about. I wrote copious notes. I'm going to give you all of my reactions to all of that. I want to say thank you to Daniel's Wii who made this background. I literally just got it up in time for the stream in the nick of time, so thank you. So let's begin. Let's start, because EA had a lot of stuff to talk about. Anyway. Okay. First of all, EA opens up their press conference showing Madden. Yes, Madden. We all know Madden, American Football Madden, the game that every single year has a new installment no matter what. So it opens up showing this new story mode, which is called Long Shot. I guess it's going to be a narrative story mode similar to like we've seen with the NBA 2K games as of late and a lot of the other sports-related games that have been coming out. They really all want to have these campaign story modes now. They're all jumping on this bandwagon. So they showed off. It looks pretty good. And considering they never had a story mode before in a Madden game, that's pretty cool. Do I think anyone's going to run out and buy Madden just because it has a story mode? No. And probably the vast majority of people who buy Madden this year will never play the story mode because they're used to only playing it for the online competitive play. But it's nice that it's there. Why they opened the press conference with that as their opener, like that's a big thing, I don't know. But at least it's there, okay? Then the evil EA CEO comes out, starts talking about what they're going to be talking about on the show today. He says there's going to be 30 minutes of coverage of Star Wars Battlefront 2. And he says, don't worry, we listened to all of your feedback. And he proceeds to basically talk about how there was a lot of positive reactions to the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 years ago, but there was also a ton of criticism and negativity around the game. And he basically says, don't worry, we listened to all of your feedback, and we're going to address all of that in today's press conference, so get ready, you're going to be excited. Okay? All right. Fair enough. So then they start actually talking about games. They start talking about Battlefield 1, to which I think everyone watching the stream collectively groaned and said, Battlefield 1 came out in the fall of 2016. The game now is almost, I think it is 8 months old. I'm pretty sure the vast majority of people watching E3 don't really care about Battlefield 1 anymore. Well, typical FPS runs through the life course of its highest amount of players within 2 to 3 months. So it's hilarious because the first thing they say is, oh, Battlefield 1 has 20 million players. To which I say, no, Battlefield 1 had 20 million players over the entire span of its life up to now. Probably now maybe it has 100,000 active players, but they love to pull out numbers that sound great whenever they can to make themselves sound good. So, Battlefield 1, what do they actually announce about it? Well, they show, first of all, a montage of Twitch TV streamers who've been playing the game and completely fucking overreacting to everything that they see in the game. Oh, I blew up a vehicle with a grenade. Wow, I'll never do that again. That was an amazing once-in-a-lifetime event, man. Yeah. And they're screaming and they're screeching, and it's awful. And, you know, EA, this is their pattern this year. What they tried to do is they tried to integrate as many YouTubers and streamers into their press conference as possible. Because what EA is trying to do is pretend like they're the company that gets it. Alright? They're the company that we understand the common gamer, and we're like you, and we want to embrace you, so we're going to bring in your favorite streamers and YouTubers into our press conference to be part of it, so that you can feel like you're part of the experience. When in reality, when you just see overreacting streamers at an EA press conference, it's the complete opposite. It's kind of like your dad or your grandfather trying to act hip. You know, did you see that commercial with Steve Buscemi? And he's dressed up like a teenage skater, and he's wearing like he has a skateboard and like skating pads on. It's like, hey dudes, what's up? That's kind of what it felt like. Like this whole press conference felt like here's this big corporate entity trying to look like they're hip and cool, and they're in touch with the common gamer, when in reality they're completely off base and don't know what the fuck they're doing. So they show this stupid montage of streamers. It's completely pointless. We all know what Battlefield 1 was. Many people played it, so there's no reason to show this, but they do it anyway. Then they actually start announcing what the new stuff will be in Battlefield 1. So first of all, they're saying coming this summer, there's going to be 2 new maps that are going to be nighttime maps. Ooh, so instead of playing during the day, you get to fight at night. I guess that's an attraction for some people. At least it is 2 new maps, okay? Then they announced that there will be a new paid DLC expansion. It's not free. You're going to have to buy it. And I guess it's going to be called In the Name of the Tsar. And it's going to be all about the Russian expansion, the Russian campaign. They announced there'll be 6 new maps. The Russian army will now, for the first time, be in the game as an army that you can play as. So that means there's going to be new vehicles and all kinds of new things based off of what the Russians had during, that time period in that war. And then, you could be part of the Women's Battalion of Death. So all those women and SJWs who are so angry that these first-person shooter war games are all males, you can finally play as a woman. Wow, they are definitely in touch with what the common gamer wants, aren't they? So anyway, they basically say it's going to be 8 new maps total. This is coming out, in the summer or later this year. Check it out. And then they end it, and the crowd is dead fucking silent. Not one person clapped. They were expecting a round of applause. The crowd was like, crickets. So, the first embarrassing moment of this press conference, don't worry, there were many more. So, it's going to be really good. Stay tuned. Okay. Up next, they start talking about competitive gaming. Wow, because that's what I want to hear about at E3. I don't want to hear about new games. I don't want to hear about announcements and expansions. I want to hear about competitive gaming. They did this last year. They did it again. So they show a montage of competitive gamers winning, like the Madden championships and winning, all their shit or whatever. And I just made a comment in the stream chat because it's funny. The trophies that they gave out for these events were silver plates, like big-ass plates. That's the trophy you got, and they're holding up. And I'm like, oh, gee, EA, thanks. So I guess what we're supposed to do is you're supposed to put your Doritos on that plate while you're drinking your Fanta playing the EA games, right? It was, like, so stereotypically stupid. But anyway, so then they finally end that segment. So here we are. We're almost a half an hour into the EA press conference. They haven't shown one really new thing yet, and it's just crap, okay? All right, so on to the next. FIFA. Great, FIFA, because you knew they were going to promote their sports games, right? They got to do this because this is their major installments in their games. Every year they promote sports games at EA or E3, even though we all know that it's completely ineffective to advertise sports games at E3 because, number one, people are going to buy these games every year anyway because they're fans of the sport and fans of the series. And number two, the vast majority of people who are hardcore fans of sports games don't watch E3 because all they do is play sports games, so they don't care. But anyway, they got to advertise. So FIFA, what do? They bring out these 2 guys called the Men in Blazers, who, again, I guess are some kind of an online show that covers football, soccer, whatever you want to call it. Completely dead crowd. No one knows who they are. They come out and they're trying to do this. They're British, by the way, and they're doing this really dry British comedy going back and forth off of each other. And I'm sure if you love the show, it's great. But for the vast majority of the millions of people watching E3 worldwide, no one knew what the fuck was going on and didn't care. So they go back and forth, blah, 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 blah. Eventually, finally, they get to the point, which is, oh, there's a new story mode for FIFA. It's called The Journey, and it's going to star this character, Alex Hunter. And then they have all these real-life, like, football personalities talking as if this Alex Hunter person was real, trying to, create this virtual reality of it being real. I don't know. But anyway, there you go. That's the story mode of FIFA. It has a story mode. That's great. Again, if you buy FIFA every year, you don't give a shit about the story mode. All right. Oh, this is good. Up next, they cut to a guy who, I don't know who the hell he is. He says his name is Jesse Wellens. And he says, I'm here to talk about Need for Speed, Payback, and I'm a YouTuber, and this game is great, and he completely forgot what he was supposed to say. He completely panicked and just freaked out and stuttered and basically said, well, I got to turn this over to this guy because I completely forgot everything I was supposed to do. Now, I don't know who this guy is. Apparently, people in my stream chat knew who he is, but it was just pretty fun. I mean, I'm not going to hate on the guy, but obviously, if you're going to get someone to promote your press conference, you want to get someone who maybe has done it before, was professional, and obviously this guy wasn't, and he completely flubbed it. And just again, following on along the line of EA is hip, right? We're in touch with what you want, these YouTubers and everything we brought in for our press conference, and it completely fell apart and fell flat on its face, which was absolutely hilarious, okay? Don't know who the hell this guy is, by the way, so whatever. So, finally they bring in another guy to actually explain what the game is, Need for Speed Payback. They start showing some footage of the game, and what it looks like, it's going to be some classic Need for Speed style gameplay. This time around, it doesn't look like it's going to be about racing. It's more about driving objectives and stunts, and what they actually showed during this promo is that you're in a car and you're chasing a truck, and you don't know why you're chasing it yet, but you try to follow this truck, and you're going to try to stop this truck to basically knock it off the road. And so you're bobbing and weaving through traffic, and you're basically, there's other cars in pursuit of you trying to stop you, so you're ramming them left and right, and they're flying off the road. And the graphics look pretty good, and the cinematic style of the game looks pretty good. Like, every time you crash into a car, it goes into, like, slow-mo bullet time almost, to emphasize the crash and everything. So it looked really good. It did. It looked really good. And then finally, you drive up and you hit the truck, and, well, no, actually, let me take that back. You hit the truck, and the doors open, then you drive up again, and a girl jumps out of your car, gets inside the truck, and steals a car that was actually in the truck, so now it's revealed. You're basically car thieves. A lot of Gone in 60 Seconds or Fast and the Furious style vibes came out of this segment of the press conference, for sure. So they show all this. They explain that there's going to be mass customization in the game, so your cars that you drive in the game, you're going to be able to customize them fully and all of that. And then the segment ends, and I'm like, thank God. I mean, the segment itself was good, but such a bad lead-in by a YouTuber who completely blew it that it was just hilarious. No one really was paying attention. Okay. Then they move on to EA Originals, which is a new line of indie games that EA has been sponsoring. I know they've been doing this for a couple of years now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to talk to you about the only interesting thing at the E3 press conference this year. So, as you actually were like, wow, this is actually interesting, so pay attention, okay? So, first of all, this is a new game, an indie-style game, made by a game studio that actually has people who worked on a previous title that I played a few years back that I really enjoyed called Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Now, that game was a co-op game with two brothers who you had to control, which the two thumbsticks of your controller, each thumbstick controlled a different brother, and you would use them to basically solve different cooperative puzzles and stuff, and the game also had a really nice story. It was a really good game, a really original game, and I really enjoyed it, okay? So, there's a new game coming out from these guys. It's called A Way Out. It's basically a prison break game where there's two unique characters who are both either out of prison or arrive at a prison, and it's completely cooperative, and your goal is to find a way to break out of the prison, survive, first of all, in the prison, and then break out of the prison, and find a way to your families and or whatever. I'm not sure because they didn't really flesh it fully out, but one of the guys tries to go to his family. Pretty interesting, and they basically said this is the return of full-on co-op, where it's full couch co-op. You can have a friend sitting right next to you and play split screen, or it's online co-op where you can do online where you both each control one character, but basically the game is co-op required. You cannot play this game single player. You have to have two people to play the game unless you grow two more arms that can hold two controllers, I guess. Interesting premise, and the game actually looked really good. The graphics were okay. They weren't great, but I've never played a prison break game before. You know what I mean? It seems like there could be some interesting gameplay mechanics where not only is there combat to survive when people are attacking you and stuff in the prison, but also trying unique puzzles and ways to solve, a way to sneak out of the prison and avoid the police when you're on the run and stuff like that. So it seems like a pretty interesting game, and honestly, like I said, the whole press conference, the game looked great, and I'm like very excited to play it. It says it's coming out early 2018, so there you go. Hopefully it does come out early 2018. I guess we'll see. All right, then they started talking about Seed. What a great name. Basically what Seed is they're taking the Frostbite engine, which is kind of an exclusive to EA titles, and they're going to use it to make graphics better on Project Scorpio. And they basically said, well, we're going to talk about that over at the Microsoft press conference. You'll find out more about it then, but we just wanted to throw it out there that it's there, okay? I don't know. I mean, they didn't really show anything off. They showed, like, someone's elbow pad in, like, FIFA or something, and it supposedly had more detail on it. Wow. Just thrilling, right? Okay. Now, finally, they say, a new IP. Ladies and gentlemen, a brand new IP is going to happen. Wow, everyone's like, EA actually brought something new this year. We weren't expecting that. It's called Anthem. It's from BioWare, all right? Didn't really explain much at all about this game. All it showed was that there was some kind of a giant wall, almost like a dam, or think like Attack on Titan, a civilization protected by this giant protective wall. And then it showed some monsters outside of the wall and people like fighting the monsters. And then it showed someone getting into like an exosuit, which honestly kind of looked like the suit from Dead Space, or maybe the Spartan suit from Halo. So something like that. But it showed no gameplay, didn't explain the premise of the game whatsoever, and basically said, you'll get more information about this at the Microsoft briefing tomorrow. Gee, thanks. So basically, the whole thing was maybe a minute, okay? Then guess what they did? They literally went from a new IP that you're interested in, you're craving information about, they give you no valid information whatsoever and say, wait till tomorrow. Then they went into a 5-minute long segment about NBA Live. This is the EA press conference. They actually have an opportunity during this press conference to announce new titles and get people hyped, and all they're doing is spending all of their time wasted on fucking sports games that people are going to buy anyway. Oh my fucking God, these people just don't get it, man. They just don't get it. They don't get it. All right. Well, we're about halfway through the EA press conference, all right? I'll do a few shout outs here because we did get a few cheers here. Saint Auntie did a 10-bit cheer and says, I hope that you have fun watching E3 this year. Hobo X10 did a 10-bit cheer and he says, Mitch Dyer wrote Battlefront 2's campaign. Baron Bong hit 6969, did a 15-bit cheer, and he says, Phil, make your best YouTubers react face. Wow, that was an amazing once-in-a-lifetime thing. I'll never do that again. Battlefield 1 is the greatest. And Dabside Jeebus did a $5 tip. Wow, thank you, Dabside Jeebus. And he says, Nintendo will rule them all. You'll see one console to rule them all. Okay, now let's continue on. Oh my God. Let's continue on with the EA press conference. All right. The next, I gotta go back. I skipped the NBA Live segment. You guys, we can't skip it. We've got to talk about NBA Live. If I skip it, I'd be doing a massive fucking disservice if I don't bring up NBA Live, ladies and gentlemen, right here. I have to, all right? So what they did is they showed NBA Live, and it's basically two guys outside on a trailer. You know those trailers they have outside E3 where they random people on the street, they bring them in to play the games. We got to show you this, man. It's LeBron against this other guy on defense, and this guy flicked his stick this way while I was touching my buttons and flicking my stick, and as we were flicking sticks and touching buttons, LeBron did this. He took it hard to the hole with style, and he jammed it in. And you're watching this, you're like, is this a game? Or is this a sim? Like, what the fuck am I watching? They didn't even show any real gameplay. They're just talking about flicking their fucking knobs and touching their buttons. I'm like, what is this? Like, who cares? And it didn't really show anything about NBA Live. It just showed one little tiny segment. Do we really need to waste 5 minutes on this? And then it basically didn't sell the game at all. So anyway, that was the NBA Live segment. Woo! Then they moved on. Now this is great. This one I've got to talk about, all right? Because they do this every year, and I've got to bring this up. They actually had a short segment where they talk about all the charities that they spearheaded and donated to in the past year. And the big one that they're talking about is this anti-bullying charity. We put in $1 million into this anti-bullying campaign and all this stuff, okay? Now, that's all well and good. I am 100% happy that a big game publisher like EA would be donating the insane amount of profits they make on video games every year towards a charity organization. I applaud them. Thank you, EA, for doing that, okay? However, all right, do you really need to fucking talk about this at E3 during your press conference when you're supposed to be announcing new titles and hyping up all your releases for the next year? What it comes off as, quite frankly, is dishonest, and it comes off as kind of like, look at us, we're EA, and we know that you guys don't really like us, and you guys see us in a negative light as like this big anti-gamer, anti-consumer corporation. So what we need to do is try to shove it down your throat that, look guys, we actually do good stuff besides, you know, overselling games that suck and underperform and doing the same franchises every fucking year with our sports games. Look, we took all your money and we did something good with it. And it just comes off as so disingenuous, all right? And the reason I say that is because now this is my personal belief, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. I personally believe that charity is something that should be humble, and it should not be something that's brought out to the public and be announced or lauded or celebrated as like, look at me, I did something good. The point of charity is to do something good, not to then get accreditation for the thing good that you did, okay? And that's why, and a lot of people will give me shit for this, and it's okay because I got shit for it. A couple of years ago, you had that ice bucket challenge, and that thing went viral, and everyone was doing it, dumping ice on their head publicly to make, you know, awareness for that disease. Okay, fine, everyone was doing it, and everyone wanted me to do it, and I came out publicly and I said, I'm not doing it, because I'm not that kind of person. For me, charity is private. Charity is something that if I'm going to do something good, or I'm going to donate, or whatever, I do it, and you don't need to know about it, because it's just about me doing the good thing. It's not about me getting credit for doing the good thing. So when I watch E3 press conferences and I see, oh, EA donated $1 million, it's the same thing with WWE. I watch, you know, wrestling all the time. Oh, be a star, anti-bullying campaign and all this. What that tells me is that they know that their image is so bad that they need to do this so that a common person will look and say, oh, maybe they're not so bad. And it just comes off so lame. It has no place in the E3 press conference. And I think that it basically backfires, and people look at that and say, this is so fucking stupid. Why is this at the press conference? Talk about games. All right. So there you have it, folks. On to the next thing they talked about. They said, oh, big announcement, folks. In celebration of E3 this week, we're going to be doing a free week of Origin Access and EA Access for everyone. So if you're not aware what these services are, typically they're subscription-based services you pay for. And when you pay for them, every month you get unlimited access to certain games. Now, typically, it's usually not brand new games. Like, if you pay for EA Access, it doesn't mean that you get every single fucking new game EA publishes for free. But every once in a while, there's a good game in there. A lot of the times what they'll do is they'll give you an advanced demo or an advanced access to, like, a beta of a game that's coming out from EA soon, so that you actually have the opportunity to test it out yourself early. So it's a decent program if you're that kind of person. So it's free for the week. So anyone who's interested, if you're on console, you can get EA Access. If you're on PC, you can get Origin Access, and you get access to this free for a week. You can play the original Battlefront from 2 years ago and all that kind of shit on there, okay? Oh, excuse me. All right. Battlefront 2, which by far was the main focus of this press conference. It honestly, besides the A Way Out game, it really didn't seem like they had anything to present at this press conference anyway. So this was the meat, and this was a big, giant chunk, so bear with me. I have a lot to say about it because it was a big chunk of their press conference. So first of all, they come out with all these tweets, including the actor who played Finn in Star Wars The Force Awakens, who posted up on Twitter saying, wow, it's great that you announced Battlefront 2, but will it have an offline single-player campaign? Because the main complaint about Star Wars Battlefront 1 was that it was an incomplete game, it didn't have enough content, it had no story-based offline content at all, and once you played it for a few hours, you'd seen everything, and it was a ripoff for a full $60 price tag. Not that the content that was in the game was bad, it just wasn't enough to warrant a $60 price tag. So, they show all these tweets, and basically they say, we've directly listened to your feedback, and yes, Star Wars Battlefront 2 has a single-player campaign. This campaign takes place between the events of Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So it's an interim campaign, and they also announced that this game will have more than 3 times the amount of content of the original Star Wars Battlefront. Okay, that's good, thumbs up. There's a new class system where you can have different classes. It's not just like only picking one character with certain loadouts, but now the classes actually have different abilities. Like they say there's a support class that will do group heals and group buffs to the troops and stuff like that, which is good. That's what the original Battlefront had, and what the Battlefront 2 years ago basically lacked was that kind of gameplay variety. They also announced there will be new vehicles, new heroes, of course. Then, once again, they show a montage of YouTubers playing Battlefront 2. It was funny because they didn't even say they were YouTubers. They would just be like, such and such a name. I think one of them was like Nukem Dukem. I don't know who the fuck that is. Nukem Dukem. And here he is. I'm like, I don't know what this is. The common person does not know what that is and doesn't care. We just want to see the fucking games. We don't care about YouTubers playing the fucking games. But once again, EA is hip to the kiddies, right? So we got to get YouTubers in here to show that they like our games. So they show YouTubers playing the fucking games. Alright. So they do that, and then finally, they show a clip that blew my mind, alright? They show a robo suit, similar to, say, Darth Vader's suit. Only this suit is all red, and in a hologram projection on the face is Emperor Palpatine. So basically what they completely fucking spoiled during this press conference is that in the story of Battlefront 2, Emperor Palpatine survived at the end of Return of the Jedi and is still a character in Battlefront 2. Now, I really doubt that this is mainstream canon in the Star Wars universe. Everyone knows Palpatine died at the end of Return of the Jedi, but looks like they're bringing him back for this story. He'll probably die by the end anyway, so it won't even matter. Okay. Alright. So then they actually start talking about the gameplay, and they say there's going to be clones from the Clone Wars. There's also going to be a wide variety of droids, and that this game will span all 3 Star Wars timelines. So the prequel timeline, the main Star Wars timeline, and the Force Awakens and future, movies timeline as well. It's going to have characters from all these timelines, which is good. And then they actually showed the actor who plays Finn, which was awesome. And he shows and he says, I'm actually going to be in the game. I won't be in it at launch, but there's going to be a free holiday update, and I'll be a character in it. And yes, they listened to all of our feedback. They read my tweets and whatever, and so this is good. They're listening and yada, yada, yada. So that was pretty good, that they did that. Now, they listened directly, and they actually brought one of their main big celebrity critics in and addressed it, so that's a good thing. All right, so then they made another bombshell announcement, and this one I actually am going to applaud EA, because adding the campaign was the right way to go, adding more content was the right way to go, but by far, this final thing, in my opinion, was the best move that they've made in a long time as a game publisher. They officially announced that all DLC content for Battlefront 2 will be free. And yes, there will be multiple seasons and waves of DLC content that will be released. So if you buy the game for $60, you get the whole fucking game. You don't have to buy a season pass or be nickel and dimed by expansion packs later on. You will get all of the content for free. What the fuck? I mean, I have been a very actively verbal and strong critic of these season passes for a while now. Ever since I bought that season pass for Batman Arkham Knight a couple years back, and I really feel like I got ripped off because that content sucked monkey shit. I am very happy to hear that EA actually did a complete 180 on their attitude towards DLC and is giving all of the DLC content for free. Everyone should be applauding EA because, wow, finally someone fucking gets it. Like, we don't want to spend $60 for an unfinished core game and then have to pay $10, $20, $50 for season passes to finally put the content into the game that should have fucking been in there at launch. We're actually going to get it all for free. That's fucking good. Okay. Now, that was awesome, so let's immediately follow that awesome part with a groanable part that's going to make everyone groan. Get ready. You ready? Who's the most possibly pertinent person on planet Earth to present a 30-minute gameplay segment of Star Wars Battlefront 2? Would it be maybe an actor from the Star Wars universe who can maybe add some experiences? Maybe it would be, I don't know, a well-known gamer who maybe, I don't know, who would it be? Of course it's iJustine. Why wouldn't we get iJustine to be the host of this fucking gameplay segment of Battlefront 2? Alright, I'm not dead, but I swear to God I wish I fucking was, because iJustine is the least pertinent person in this galaxy to be presenting Star Wars Battlefront 2, ladies and gentlemen. iJustine, nothing against her, because I don't know her personally, I don't watch her shit, alright? But she was one of this group of what's called bandwagon YouTubers, alright? Back in the day, when people actually cared about what they did on YouTube, all right, there were people who were doing gameplay footage. I was one of them, and there were many other people like me, so by no means am I trying to make this all about me. But there were people before 2011 who actually made gameplay videos on YouTube because they liked video games, and it was their hobby, and they loved it, and that was their art and their craft. Then all of a sudden, in 2011, it became possible to monetize gameplay videos on YouTube. And that's when you saw the bandwagoner YouTubers jump on it. iJustine and Toby Turner and plethoras of people who had never touched a video game on YouTube before, all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to make a gaming channel on YouTube and I'm going to monetize the videos. And they became famous and rich for playing games even though they sucked at it and added absolutely nothing to the gaming landscape. iJustine is one of those fucking people. For whatever reason, publishers still bring her back every fucking year to E3 to present shit when she adds absolutely nothing but a pretty face. So when I hear iJustine is going to present Battlefront 2, I completely turn the fuck off. And the funny part is, while they started this segment, someone said, wait a minute, and they went to her YouTube gaming channel. She hasn't uploaded a gaming video in 7 months. You want to know why? Because no one's going to pay her to play games anymore because she's not fucking pertinent. But EA didn't get the memo. Remember, EA has to be hip. We're cool. We're in tune with what you, the gamer, want. So we're going to get iJustine because she's the hotness now, right? Oh my, seriously, it's like grandpa trying to relate to a youngster. It just blows my fucking mind, right? Unbelievable. So, I know my face is turning fucking red because I'm getting so excited about this. Alright. So, iJustine, the host, and then they had this guy, I forget what his name was, Golden something, and I apologize because he's probably a YouTuber or something too. I don't know who he was. But he wasn't the host, he was just doing co-commentary. And then they actually had a game dev for EA sitting there. So it was the three of them doing commentary. And then they jumped into another room, alright, where it was a bunch of people playing an actual large-scale match of Star Wars Battlefront 2. So I made some observations during the gameplay. First of all, it was droids versus clones. You have ground vehicles like tanks. You also have ground vehicles like walkers and things that you can ride during the gameplay. But also, there's now aerial vehicles that are going to be fighting at the same time, flying around overhead. Now, that was in Battlefront 1, but in this regard, it looks like they actually upped the ante. There's a lot more of it, okay? So they were going between dogfights. They were going between ground combat. They were showing how the vehicles can transform. There was a tank that stopped and went into siege mode, so it could do double damage, but then it was immobile, so it couldn't get out of the way from people shooting it. So they're doing all this stuff, all right? They're showing all this gameplay, all right? And so I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, you know, it looks good to me. I'm watching, and I'm like, this looks like good gameplay. This looks like it's solid and something that I would definitely be interested in playing. And then they show some of the heroes, and it was hilarious because you could tell there was scripted dialogue that they wanted to say, but you could tell the gameplay totally was not scripted because they were saying, oh, this is going to be a point where we're going to get to talk about this hero, and then the hero would die instantly and be off the screen permanently, and they were like, oh, well, now we have to talk about that hero even though they're already dead. So it was pretty funny. And then right in the middle of the gameplay, it just cuts to NBA Live, and all the commentators are like, oh, well, here's some NBA Live for absolutely no reason. That's nice. And then they cut back to Battlefront 2. And again, the cringe and the groan. It was just like, oh my god, they fucked this press conference up so bad between YouTubers forgetting their fucking lines. I mean, it was just so hilarious and cringe during this fucking press conference, all right? All right, so that happened. And then they showed some of the supporting class. I liked this. They showed an officer, and he put down this little, like, pylon, and it was doing an area of effect heal to his team. So they're showing that there's new gameplay mechanics in the game and everything. And I'm like, that's cool. You know, I'm in. I'll play it. I'll definitely get it. Because now I know there's a single-player campaign plus the online multiplayer, and I know all the Season Pass DLC content is free. I'm definitely getting Battlefront 2. I'm sold. So there you go. So then the segment ends, and literally it was about 20, I would say probably about 15, 20 minutes of gameplay. They actually did a live, real-time match, okay? So then, they end the segment, okay? And the segment goes, well, iJustine turns to the two guys to the left and says, so what did you think? And the Golden, I forget the guy's name, Golden whatever, he goes, oh, that was awesome. And the EA guy, EA employee, looks dead at the camera and he goes, not bad. And everyone's like, and then all of a sudden, like, he had a moment of realization that he works for EA and he was supposed to kiss the game's ass. And he goes, well, actually, what I meant was, oh, that's great. It was amazing. And everyone laughed fucking hysterically because it's like, oh my God, the guy literally admitted he doesn't think the game's great. And then had a fucking moment of realization and had to correct himself so he doesn't get fired. It was so funny. It was so fucking good. Then, almost like out of nowhere, they start talking about another game, a mobile game called Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, okay? And it was really weird because there was no transition. All of a sudden, Justine just turned to the guy, the Golden Boy. I guess it's Golden Boy, people are saying his name is. She turns to him and she goes, oh, well, what about that Galaxy of Heroes game? I heard that you're a big fan of it. And he goes, and I swear to God, this is exactly what he said. Yeah, Galaxy of Heroes. I literally, not a day goes by I don't play it. I've played it every day since release, and I've probably sunk about $1,000 into that game at this point. To which, if you're a common viewer, all right, and you are just watching this press conference, and you're like, he just said he spent $1,000 on a single video game. What a way to sell the game to basically say that it's a fucking money sink, and if you play this game, you're going to get addicted and keep spending ridiculous amounts of money on a fucking mobile game. $1,000 for a mobile game. And he actually admitted this. Like, what the fuck? Did they not practice at all for this press conference and just go out there and say whatever the fuck you want? We don't really care. We're EA. We're rolling in fucking dough anyway. Like, if anything, that would actually deter me from playing the mobile game, knowing that this guy sunk $1,000 in the fucking game. He plays it every day and he can't stop playing. So then, all right, basically they cut back to the main stage, and the guy who was kind of the presenter was like, well, that was, thanks for watching. I hope that you liked it. And then all of a sudden they leave, and you're like, is it over? Is it not over? And then they cut to a trailer about this Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes games that has no audio. It's silent. And you're watching, like, is the press conference over? What's going on? So they start playing the trailer, no audio. Then all of a sudden, like 30, 40 seconds into the trailer, then the audio kicks in for the very end, the butt end, which is too late because you already missed all the stuff that they were trying to present in the trailer. Then they cut outside to a group of people who are presenting the game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So you're like, oh, it's continuing. The E3 press conference is still going. So these two people come out. There's this girl and this guy, and they're talking about the game. The guy announces there's a new character, Admiral Thrawn, and I actually am familiar with Admiral Thrawn because I read the comic series. I think it was Shadows of the Empire it was called or something like that. It takes place directly after the events of the original Star Wars trilogy when Leia and Han Solo actually get married and have kids and stuff like that. It's a really interesting comic series. If you haven't read it, I recommend you do. It actually is really good. So they announce that he's the new character in the game, and then the guy, instead of saying he's really cool and here's some cool abilities, literally goes into such mind-melting detail about you can have this stat boost during this raid situation, but when you're out of the raid, then the stat boost becomes a defense buff for your party, but only in certain situations where this happens. And anyone who's watching and never played the game is like, what the why is he going into detail about this? I'm so fucking confused and bored. And then they announce he's a new character. He's coming out on June 15th or whatever. Then all of a sudden they cut to another trailer and you realize the press conference is over. It actually did end, but they didn't have like a formal, this is the end. They just cut to more fucking trailers, probably in a desperate attempt to get you to watch and or buy other products because no one's going to fucking buy them otherwise. So that was the EA press conference. All right. By far, the highs for me at the press conference was this new game, A Way Out. Looks really good. Original concept, co-op, jailbreak, and then survival on the run kind of gameplay once you get outside of the jail, which looks really neat. And definitely looks good to me. I definitely want to play that game next year. And Star Wars Battlefront 2 looks good. They directly listened to all the feedback from everyone out there who could criticize the first game strongly. The fact that there's a campaign, the fact that there's more online multiplayer content, and the fact that there is free DLC for the entire length of the game. Amazing, okay? But they could have just done Battlefront 2 and A Way Out, and this press conference could have been 30 minutes long, not 90 minutes, because the other hour was completely wasted time. YouTuber segments, streamer segments, YouTubers who forget their fucking lines, iJustine, and a bunch of overinflated sports coverage bullshit that didn't sell games and didn't make EA look good at all. It was just a fucking waste of our time. Once again, EA's press conference was absolutely god-awful. It was really terrible. I don't really want to rate it, because what I'm going to do is watch all the press conferences and then rate them against each other at the end of the week when I do a podcast. But it was just groan-worthy. Like, again, way to show EA that you are completely out of touch with the common gamer. You are the grandpa of the gaming publisher world, trying to be hip with the youngster kiddies, and you don't get what people actually want to see at E3. You wasted all of our time for an entire hour today. You could have shown the two good things and ignored all the other crap, and everyone would have loved the press conference. You don't know what you're doing, yet again. I mean, every year this happens, and EA does not fucking disappoint. Alright. So, time to do some final grouping of shout-outs here, and then we will end this video. We've got a 50-bit cheer from Viking, who said, that truck in Need for Speed sure was fast, wasn't it? Third Eye the Third did a $2 tip, and he says, wait a minute, that's not him. It's a troll trying to do a troll shout-out, and no, I'm not doing it. Keaton's40 subscribed to the channel. Thank you, Keaton's40. God of Death 89 subscribed to the channel. Thank you, God of Death 89. Keaton's40 did a 10-bit cheer. Thank you again. And Bala Beast did a 100-bit cheer and says, hello, it's Beast from YouTube. You mind if I upload your Tekken gameplay? What? If it's your side of the gameplay, you have the legal right to upload the gameplay. You don't have to ask me. There you go. Alright, everyone, so that is it for my coverage of the E3 2017 press conference. I hope you enjoyed it. That is it. Alright, so thank you for watching. I'll be doing this very same thing for all of the other major press conferences, including Microsoft, Bethesda, Sony, and Ubisoft. And I may do a one-off video on Nintendo. I'm not going to do a live, reaction right after, but I may do one of these for Nintendo, too, if there's enough to talk about. We'll see. And then at the end of this week, I'm going to do a podcast that's going to summarize my thoughts on everything and let you know who I thought won E3 this year. Okay? Thanks, everyone, for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you'll check out all my other reactions to all the other press conferences coming up shortly. Peace out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.